What is going on, everybody? Taylor here, and today I'm going to be talking about Space Jam: A New Legacy. I was able to see the movie at a screening. Thank you very much for that, everybody who was involved putting on that screening. It was such a good time. We had a purple carpet, we had Bugs and Lola there. It was a great atmosphere, so much fun at the event. Now, I want to start this off by saying it seemed like most people at my screening enjoyed this movie far more than I did. Now, going into this, I figured that I was not the target audience for this movie. I love basketball. I've really been enjoying watching the NBA playoffs and now the finals. But this movie just didn't feel like it was for me. I had a bit of a tough time just settling in and accepting LeBron in this movie. He's clearly not an actor. I wasn't expecting him to be an actor, but it was a bit tough for me to get through that aspect. So if you're willing to just go along with that and you can kind of brush off the fact that he's just not great as an actor, you'll probably be pretty good through the whole movie. You'll probably be able to buy in and have some fun with it, but it was tough for me to do. So there was that aspect. Also, I feel like this movie had a problem knowing exactly what it wanted to be and what it was trying to accomplish. It felt like there wasn't really full commitment to the story they were trying to tell. It felt like they weren't really sure what kind of audience they wanted to connect with. There were a lot of jokes that kids won't understand, which is fine. There are a lot of kids' movies that have adult jokes in them. But not only that, it felt like a lot of the references in the movie also weren't for kids at the same time. So the jokes weren't really for the kids a lot of the time, and the references also weren't really for kids a lot of the time. There was stuff in there. Like, I don't want to get too spoilery on this. There were some sequences that obviously kids are going to enjoy, but there was a lot that just made me feel like they maybe were trying to appeal to my age group and a little older, the appeal to the people who really connected with and enjoyed the first Space Jam, which is fine. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I just don't know if they struck, for me, the right balance of nostalgia for people who loved the first Space Jam with also things in pop culture that kids are going to connect with necessarily. So I wasn't really too fond of that. I feel like there was a little bit of uncertainty there. There's one of the best jokes, was what I'm going to call it, I think they pulled off that literally had me laughing way too hard. And I don't want to say more than that, but it was a moment that had everyone going, oh my God, they just did that. And that was brilliant, and I'm going to give them credit for that. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. So there were moments where I found myself really enjoying it. There were some funny moments. I personally really liked the aesthetic of the movie. I think that the Toon Squad jerseys were great. I know a lot of people didn't enjoy the design when it came out. I personally really liked it. I think that there were a lot of great elements in terms of, the fact that the movie deals with them being pulled into a server, them being pulled into a computer world. There were some fun things that they played with that. And there were moments that felt like they were trying to be genuine. They were trying to be emotional and impactful, and they were trying to make this story really mean something when it comes to families and when it comes to being accepting. And I do appreciate that. I just don't know how well I bought into it because the people around LeBron who were acting were really in it. LeBron, not so much, like he was trying, but I just was having a hard time buying it. So I give partial points for that because there were some moments that were genuinely great, I think, for kids and families, kids and parents, families to experience together, and some really good messaging that they put in there. I'm just not sure how much I think they pulled it off exactly the way that they wanted to. But overall, I think it's a fun movie that kids can enjoy if they're willing to kind of go along with movie references that maybe they don't quite understand. I'm not sure if I enjoyed the actual basketball as much as I wanted to. I appreciate the concept that they were going for, especially with a Space Jam in the world we're in now, with the way that video games and technology and that kind of stuff are. I liked what they were going for. I just, once again, I'm not sure if I liked the way they pulled it off. It just didn't quite feel like it was flowing the way that I wish it would. It didn't quite go. To me, it didn't feel like they quite committed to the level of loony and cartoony that I wanted it to be. It just felt like they kind of weren't willing to go just that step further that I was wanting them to go. It just felt a little bit like it was still just, they were holding it back a little bit. And I know that might sound ridiculous, but to me, there was just kind of that spark that was missing a little bit. It just didn't feel like, it almost didn't feel genuine in some ways, where you just didn't feel like they were fully committed to it, which probably once again sounds ridiculous, but this is just how I felt. I did have some moments where I laughed, some moments where I was like, oh, that's really sweet, and it wasn't terrible. It wasn't a terrible movie. There are plenty of movies I've seen this year that I would not want to rewatch, and is this going to be my first choice to rewatch? Probably not, but it's definitely a movie I think that will be enjoyed by the correct audience. I don't think I'm the correct audience for this film. As much as I love Looney Tunes, and as much as I love basketball, I just don't think that this one was for me. But what did you guys think of the film? If you've seen it, I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know if you're planning on seeing it, if you haven't already. As always, all of my links are down in the description if you want to find me on social media. I also have a link to my Patreon down there. Thank you to all the new patrons who have joined. I'm putting together a Q&A to talk about some of the questions and some of the topics you guys want me to talk about. So if you'd like to ask some questions, or if there's a movie or TV show or a topic you want me to talk about, jump on the Patreon. Let me know. I'd be more than happy to do so. Thank you for all the supporters that are already there. You guys are the best. Thank you to everyone who just watches the channel, who likes and subscribes and leaves a comment. That's just as fantastic, and I appreciate all of the support. Thank you guys so, so much, and I will see you all next time.